What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen. I hope you're having a good day. Yes, I am alive. I did over 12 hours of broadcasting this weekend for ADCC trials. Some of you might ask why. At least my immediate family does. And the answer is, I'm just more committed than the other hosts. Other hosts sometimes go to the event, participate in the event, but not anybody else. 12 hours, this face, lots of jokes at our friends' expense. We had some friends tuning in who were actually competing at ADCC over the weekend, and it was quite the thrill to be able to see them come in, say hello very quickly, and then run away, because I think they knew I was pretty much going to roast them the whole time. But nonetheless, we've got a good day, and we have a friend on the show, a good friend who was very busy himself over the weekend. Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Raf. It's good to be here. I got a walkover win at ADCC. I actually did a new thing there. I mailed in. I got a mail-in walkover win. So I just mailed in the moves that I was going to do, and then my opponent didn't show up, so I got the default win. Probably not going to make a spot, though, on the team yet. I'm just going to sit this one out. I'm still undecided. I'm trying to decide between CJI and ADCC. But yeah, man, busy weekend. Was out in Stockton, came back in one piece. Happy about that. However, I did see a fight, and I wish I would have had the instinct to pull out my phone, because it definitely would be the fight of the week today, but I didn't. I literally stood up and I thought, I'm a black belt. I have to diffuse this situation. And then I thought, nah, I'm just going to watch.
Tim, did you?
I'll just be watching.
You didn't do anything to diffuse the situation. You
Absolutely
literally
not.
Just said, I'm going to be worthless in two ways. I'm not going to break up the fight, and I'm not going to record it.
I should have recorded it. It's just, I forgot I was back in Stockton.
Let me point this out to people here. Tim is on record as filming people getting abducted by ICE and not helping them. So he can pull out his phone at any given point to actually do something. But okay, I see what's going on. It said, is this live or a video? Man, he did that too perfect. LOL snapped. I'm one take, bro. Like, this is how it works. I'm very good at doing this. And then I see this octopus guard. Thank you. And then dead. So I think that's in response to some stuff that Tim has been saying. Before we get on to results, let's just go over a couple things here, Tim. So you were gone, but you were still paying attention. You told us that you were able to watch EBI over your airplane. But for you, like, how hard is it during a week where you have plans with the family when it's this incredibly busy in the world of jiu-jitsu? Because there's not one big event. There was two major events.
Yeah, it was pretty tough, to be honest with you. One is I'm out in Stockton visiting family and also promoting students. And all those guys are lined up trying to kill me for whatever reason. I'm a very nice person. I don't know why they come at me like in the manner that they do, but they do. So I was trying to follow ADCC, but damn, ADCC is so intense when it's on. It's just match after match, 2 days in a row, that I resigned myself to, hey, I'm going to be captive in that airplane on the way home. EBI is going to be coming on. Southwest has been kicking down free Wi-Fi. And, it wasn't great, but it worked well enough. I got to watch it, so I was stoked about that. But it's pretty damn difficult, to be real with you, man.
Can I just tell you my issue? Tim, you know me as a pretty meticulous planner, right? Like, you know that as I do these things for this show, I have a system. I like things done a certain way. So can you imagine, for my OCD planner-like body, when they don't release the brackets until 10 p.m. Pacific time, and it's me sitting there going like, well, what's to watch tomorrow? What are the exciting ones to do? And then they have alerts on Flow Grappling that say, hey, we'll let you know when people are going to show up on there. And I must have put maybe 50 notes because we have a lot of friends on the show. And I'm like, I'd like to know, even if I'm going to talk about it on air, I want to know how that person's doing. Or, damn, I've trained with that person. I want to see if they're going to advance. And it literally sent me 5 texts on email. And it just said like, hey, would you like to know this person's been eliminated? I was like, I already know that, you fucking dick. The whole point is you're supposed to tell me as soon as possible. Like, what lab rat AI does Flow Grappling have to tell us this information? And it's without fail. The minute it's going, I get the brackets ready to show. On day 2, when you have time to prepare, and I go, well, here's the 16-man brackets. The second they start, they're already done. I go, and this bracket is now irrelevant. Cool. Yeah. Frustrating, Tim. Very frustrating.
Hard to watch ADCC. It's never been easy to watch ADCC. Never. It's always been difficult.
And this is just the trials. When you actually talk about the ADCC product itself, when you say, this is our Olympics, they literally go, well, good luck trying to follow any of this shit. You better just get ready used to seeing someone get real eliminated real quick. Is that your friend? Too bad, they're out. Womp womp. So there's a lot of getting that adjustment. But let's get into it. We'll go ahead and start with this. Ladies and gents, this weekend, ADCC and EBI took place, and both of us were able to do coverage in our own different ways. We're going to start off with some ADCC coverage and then work our way to EBI. So I'll go ahead and kick off the ADCC coverage. First and foremost, ADCC was intense. And a lot of the standouts were people that you thought they might be. It was very exciting, though, to see people like Gavin Corbet have an incredible tournament. Came up just short in his division. But, of course, when you have Dorian Oliveras, it's going to be a tough weight category. So seeing him do very, very well was a lot of fun. Keith Krikorian was also in that category. And I had to tell you, incredibly fun to see him do things. Brandon Reed was able to win his category, a friend of the show. He did well. And I would tell you this, Ian Dabe, I think, was a big performer this weekend. I was very happy to see him podium and get some love. But there were so many different weight categories. And I want to start with our friends first, and then we'll go to people who have been less on the show. But Mo Black had one of the best final moments because she got slammed in her match, like right off the back. And it makes you worried because it looked like she was getting beaten on the wrestling. Didn't phase her, got right back up, and then immediately jumps into a guillotine where her opponent slams her and Mo puts her down. And I had to say, if there's ever anybody that you want to watch dig in deep and wonder how it is that they do what they do, Mo Black is that person. Mo Black is always going to give you a brilliant return on demand. So very happy for her. Congratulations on that side. And even looking at this in the different categories, Anna Mayordomo had a great tournament. Props to her. Valerie from 10th Planet Las Vegas looked really, really solid as well. And in the area of like standouts who really, really announced themselves, a purple belt by the name of Jacob Bornman was killing it. Now, what I really want to say, though, is can we stop having purple belts do well? I made a public plea that if you win trials, you're no longer a purple belt. They have to promote you to brown belt. And wouldn't you know it, they did it. So I wasn't off base, but I feel like that should be the standard. You cannot leave trials as a purple belt if you win as a purple belt. Like, if you do the tournament, they have to promote you on the spot because the rest of us don't want to go around telling people I got beat up by this purple belt. Sorry, dude. Oh, he's a trials winner too? That just means your promotion standards are out of whack. So, fortunately, they were able to redeem that. But big shout outs to everybody in that weight class. That was a very, very fun one to watch. Mo Black winning her division, as we mentioned a second ago. Jonathan Blank, a beautiful return to form. He has not been competing all that much recently. That dude did not look rusty at all. And in fact, beat a very, very scary Sean Yadamarco, who looked incredible throughout the tournament, but Jonathan Blank got it done. Big props to him. I'm going to go ahead and give a point here. Friend of the show, John Combs, took third, a previous trials winner, continuing to do great things. Achilles Rocha won that division. And then we mentioned Brandon Reed. And of course, Leon, like, Mia, is it Mia? Maya? I want to say it's Maya because Damien Maya is how I say that. But Maya Matalon was so freaking amazing to watch. Big fan. She's got an incredible story. And we're going to be reaching out to almost all of these trials winners to get them on the grappling hour in the near future. But those were some of the standouts. Tim, did you see any clips that kind of got your attention over the weekend?
Not a ton of ADCC, but I did see a little bit of John Blank, or Thor, I think is his 10th Planet nickname, and he looked real good. The other match that was a fun match to watch that you mentioned was Oliveira's and Gavin Corbet, because Corbet's been on a real nice run, and I expected him to make the finals, but damn, it's hard to get past Dorian Oliveira's. That's a tall order for somebody who doesn't drill. Just kidding, Souders. Don't get mad at don't kill me. That's a really
can we talk about that
joke right there? But
no, we'll cut that. But Dorian Oliveira's, one thing that I wanted to bring up on that, he won by submission. So let's make sure that we said that he won in overtime by submission. So I want to make sure we're not undercutting his win. It's really impressive to get that. But the reason why that match was so spectacular was, in regulation, it's the first time in recent memory that I've seen Dorian in real time look at an opponent and go, what do I do with this guy? Because Gavin was giving him so many great moments and could counter and counter and counter, that I thought it really did present a unique puzzle for Dorian to figure out. Dorian's used to just breaking people, incredible athleticism, really funky movements, and really heavy wrestler pressure-based type of jiu-jitsu. And Gavin, in a playful way, was able to get out of those situations and create some interesting dilemmas for Dorian. It wasn't until it got to the overtime period that you could see Dorian's gas tank really start to outpace Gavin Corbet. But for that regulation period, I was so impressed by the way that Gavin Corbet looked, performed, and it's not his first time on the podium. So I wonder, between him and Keith and whoever else is going to emerge at ADCC trials, who is going to be the person that shows out, because those boys looked really good. And I'll put another name out there. We had some friends, obviously, from the PGF that did well. Nathan Haddad, I saw him do a little bit of good work out there. But I want to give a big shout out to Cam Hurt, who just missed the podium, but looked amazing throughout the weekend, Tim. So big note. I see this from Jordan Raby. It says, Gavin looked calmed and collected in regulation. He did, but I think that was what was so wild, is that most people get intimidated by Dorian's pace. And if you see the work that he does, it's easy to understand why they get intimidated. In that particular match, just his regular ease and flow was such a good counterbalance to Dorian's just burst through Kool-Aid Man kind of energy.
Yeah, right. Kool-Aid Man energy. That's real good. I like that.
Listen, the next time you see that dude diving to pass guard, tell me that you wouldn't hear him say, "Oh yeah," as he passes through. I think if we can make that sponsorship happen, I think Dorian would be a very rich man. So there is that. Tim, what can you tell us about EBI? Because that was another fun event that happened on that Sunday.
So 26, the welterweights kicked off. And, you know, the story kind of going into this is exactly what we talked about last weekend on the show, which is Alan Sanchez is coming back. He's trying to pick up his third title. Not many guys have done that outside of the Danaher Death Squad. So for sure, that's a big deal for Sanchez. That's a big deal for Eddie. You know, as much as Eddie wants to bring everybody in, but Eddie wants his guys to win. He wants them to do well. And it was really kind of a matchup. I think when you look at the brackets, it made sense to me that we were going to end up seeing Alan Sanchez in the finals against Derek. And now they're calling him Derek Rodman. I know that we were saying he was Rodman, but now he's being announced as Derek Rodman Rayfield. And he's really done a nice job of adapting the persona. He got under the skin of the local crowd when he was taking on the favorite, and I'm going to grab his name because he did really, really well. Andy Granados, I believe, is his name. Yeah, it was Andy Granados, and Granados looked really good in his first matchup. He got a heel hook win, and then he came out and he defeated Officer Grimy with an ankle lock. Ran into Rayfield in the semifinals, and the crowd wasn't only cheering Granados, they were booing Rayfield. And then those boos for Rayfield, they carried to his next match against Alan Sanchez. The crowd was like, look, Sanchez is Mexican. We know he lives in America. We're going for him. We don't like you, Derek Rodman Rayfield. It worked out pretty well. Alan Sanchez, speaking of Sanchez, looked amazing. He had great matches. He got an RNC win real quick in the first round against Brian Pinado. And then he followed up against Canamar with a Gogo Plata. Like, you don't see too many of those, but if anyone's going to get him, it's going to be Alan Sanchez. Finishes Kevin Buehring with a rear naked choke. Buehring is a PGF guy. We see him all over. I've got to roll with Kevin Buehring. I got to roll with nice Kevin Buehring, which is the version that comes into your class like midweek and you're just doing the class and he's being super chill. And then he came back the next night to 10 round Tuesday and I got to roll with real Kevin Buehring, and it was a very eye-opening experience. And to kind of know what he's capable of and then see Alan Sanchez do such a great job against him, it's a real compliment to Alan Sanchez's development and growth in jiu-jitsu. He's looked fantastic. He does get the win. Some other names on there. JJ Bowers got eliminated in the first round, and then he came back out for a super fight, and he defeated Manning Leverett via rear naked choke in overtime. So props to him. Caleb Crump, another guy that is a PGF vet. He made it out of the first round, but ended up getting beat by a triangle armbar against Derek Rayfield. So overall, great fights. It was with the strikes. So combat jiu-jitsu rules were in effect, and they were pretty damn effective. Everybody looked pretty good with the strikes. Really, the only one that didn't strike much was Sanchez until the finals match. And then he did some body work that I was impressed. A lot of gut slaps and side punches. So great work from him. Major congrats. Third EBI title, and this is his first combat jiu-jitsu flavor of it. So nice job, Alan Sanchez.
Alan is underrated in so many ways. And it's wild because when you start previewing those shows, you're thinking like, well, this person's a threat. This person's a threat. And underneath all of that, you start thinking to yourself, well, Alan's won this twice. So why wouldn't he be a favorite? And right. I get that you have to hype this up, but Alan looks so composed. And you mentioned the body shots. I was wondering if there was almost a gentleman's agreement between certain 10th planets that happen when they get to the finals.
Maybe.
Didn't seem to be the case. And I couldn't tell if Alan was just feeling his power or if the crowd was compelling him to be like, hey, man, can you hit this dude for us? And Derek doesn't care. Derek said, I think in a post a little bit later, that he felt he was just a couple mistakes away from winning the whole thing, and that he really knows he's right there. He was right there. It was essentially an overtime sort of thing.
Yeah.
Having said that, I just felt so happy to see Allen come into his power again and put his name in very short company. He had mentioned Gary, he had mentioned Gio as people he had watched growing up, Gordon. Like, when you think about it, though, Gary and Gordon are in those multi-time champion in that format, and now he is in that world. So I'm very happy for him. I just thought he looked so good, and I look forward to talking with him sooner than later. But big shout outs to all those folks who are continuing to make great things happen. But Tim, I got a note here from Wallow that's reminding us Manning Leverett is a PGF vet as well. So thank you for that.
That's great.
It is very funny because sometimes we do look at these tournaments and it's like you got JJ Bowers in there too, who's PGF. Like, legitimately, the field is made up with a lot of PGF vets. So we've got a lot of friends out there. I got this note from Octopus Guard a few minutes ago, but we'll go ahead and entertain it now. It says, I'm hyped for PGF trials. Aren't we all, buddy? And it says, y'all got anything you're looking forward to? Well, I'm so glad you asked. I am executive producing Subversive this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being done and drunk at the end of the event. Like, legitimately, that is where I want to be. I want to be on a beach somewhere with a fancy-ass drink and literally looking at the ocean. But instead, I'm going to be carting off materials, moving back and forth, and driving in LA traffic. So that is my visualization of finalizing things. And the very next day, so it's Long Beach, Subversive, Friday night, 6 p.m. If you can't join us, find us on Spectation Sports. And the next day, we have the kids program, which is Wild Style, same place, happening at about 11 a.m. So very busy this weekend. But thank you for asking. Tim, let's move the board down a little bit more, but super happy for all of our friends. Big shout out to everybody who had a great weekend. And it makes me very excited for not only the next EBI or combat event, but the next trials. I saw so many people this weekend literally getting laser focused, and I wonder how many people are going to come back. We had a 40% reduction in the amount of people who signed up this year. I think it's closer to about 45 now that I'm looking at the numbers, but we had a 45% reduction in people who did trials from 2023 to 2025 here in North America. So the question is, are those people going to show up in mass at the next West Coast Trials opportunity? And more importantly, this is the one I really want to know. Why aren't they signing up for it? And I think we're going to start hearing more and more athletes discussing like, yeah, I didn't feel like doing it. Or what's the point? I'm only going to win 10K, when there are more and more opportunities popping up by the minute. So let's advance the board. We do have some unfortunate news to report here. It does look like Roberto Jimenez has sustained an injury. And this injury is making it so that he might not be able to train, let alone coach, for the immediate future. It does look like he has a surgery that needs to be operated sooner than later. It is one of those where if you leave it open for a long period of time, the less likely you're able to rehab it in a proper way. We know him as one of the best competitors out on the scene right now, but it does raise some very important questions on if he's good, if he's going to be able to cover this. And with more, Tim, I'd like for you to tell the people what exactly about the story caught your attention this week.
So Roberto Jimenez, as you mentioned, has suffered a hamstring injury. I don't know if this was the type of injury that happened like in one shot, or if it was something that had been kind of bugging him and then got pushed over the line here. But it is severe. Hamstrings are pretty tough to deal with, especially athletically. The catch is, of course, dude doesn't have medical insurance, and he's trying to raise the money to get it covered. it's about $30,000 to have this done. And as of recent updates, he's raised about $8,500. So that's about 28%, somewhere around there. The surgery is going to be done in Guadalajara, Mexico. So, you know, Bernardo Faria chipped in $1,000. There's a link out there if you look for it where you could find it on Free Funder to help Roberto with surgery. It speaks a couple things, man. One is it's really hard when a sport professionalizes and it doesn't have a way to take care of the athletes, at least medically. And we're starting to run into this. The injuries and the effort and the training that has to be put in is just as high as any other professional sport. And that means, you know, your body's going to take some damage, unfortunately. And when these situations arise, if you don't have a regular job with insurance or you're not under 25 and on your folks' insurance, you're kind of hosed a little bit. So Jimenez is in a tight situation here, trying to raise money. It would be nice if there was a way to cover these guys moving forward. And I don't know what that way is. Probably the hope is that right now just a good citizen steps up and helps fill that bucket up. On the flip side, the problem is that there's so many hucksters, scamsters, and fraudsters in the jiu-jitsu community that every time you see one of these GoFundMe situations, you're skeptical of it. And, you know, that's an issue. And we know this started with the Red Belt documentary. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to harp about it anymore. But, hey, you know what? You messed it up for a bunch of people that really actually have real shit they're trying to raise money for. So good job on that, Mr. Red Belt doc guy. But outside of that, you know, best of luck to Roberto Jimenez. I really enjoy watching him compete. And, of course, you don't want somebody to suffer, you know, serious lifelong altering changes due to a hamstring injury.
Tim, you're such a dick. I was like going to come in with my pitch from my fake GoFundMe to illustrate your point. And then you hit the one that I'm like, I can't beat that. Nobody can beat a GoFundMe or a crowd-funded thing that actually existed and that still has yet to actually come into fruition. Like, in my head as a comedy writer, I can't write something funnier than give me all the money and I will give you a documentary on Red Belt. Just kidding. How dare you ask me for that? How dare you bring that up still to this day? It is a sore subject, and you know what? It shows a lot about your character to bring that up to me. How dare you? So,
yeah. Well, I'm $50 short, big dog. So, till I see that $50, I'm going to be bringing that shit up.
What's that, like $78 in today with inflation?
Yeah, inflation. Let's go, man.
For the cost of one UFC pay-per-view, you can not see a Red Belt documentary in 12 years. Like, here's what I want to say about this. Don't ever return fire on us on this, because this is just something you have to live with. If you're thinking, oh, how dare they bring this up? You are bypassing the problem. In the time you could take to retaliate to us, you could have edited 10 minutes of whatever said documentary.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear this.
A trailer.
A trailer would be great. You know what it is? AI could pump out a trailer right now. If you put in the footage into Opus Clip, it could give you a trailer right now.
Listen, Ken Burns takes a decade to make a Civil War documentary. This cat's at 12 damn years, and there's not that many red belts. You know how many people were in the Civil War? A lot of people. You know how many there's like 6 of them around, man. Get out of here.
Isn't it just also that they're dying by the day, too? Like, these poor red belts are like, I'll never get to see this documentary. They're like, hey, I'll get you a seat at the premiere. Okay, cool. When is it? About that, bud.
Yeah.
Henzo, didn't he just get his red belt, too?
I think he got red and black. Or did he get red?
I don't know.
He got something from Hickson. I don't think it was red, though.
I just
Let
like
me
to
see.
think of it like this. I'll never get a red belt because we're already way behind on this. But if I can cheat the system 100% Candyland slide my way through that shit, I'm not trying to do things in the proper way. Like, ask me how I can Moneyberg this belt. I'm going to be like, in 20 years, come
Let's
back to me
go.
and let's see what the going rate is for a red belt. But yes, the folks behind BJJ Fanatics, Bernardo Feria, he did come through and he contributed $1,000, encouraged the community to do the same. I think for Roberto, it's kind of rough because on some of these articles that he's associated with, it's like a few minutes ago, you felt like he was complaining about the IBJJF deserving like to pay their athletes or needing to pay their athletes. And you see the actual harm that causes when somebody isn't paid. Like now we're at a point where this guy can't cover his own insurance or his own coverage for this, and that's really just so that he can live, honestly, let alone compete at the level he does. So we will send our best to Roberto, and if you guys have the opportunity and the ability to help out, please do. All right. This is the biggest bummer article of the week. I don't like this one because it was one thing to find out that the person who did kill Leandro Lowe was found not guilty. And that was hard to take in as a community. It's another thing when just recently that same man offered an apology for killing the beloved jiu-jitsu star. Tim, what can you tell us about this story?
So, as you mentioned, I think it maybe was last week. Enrique Veloso, who was the officer who fatally shot Leandro Lowe in the nightclub or bar, wherever this setting was, it was some kind of place like that. He was acquitted last week, absolved of charges. The jury accepted his claim of self-defense, and that this happened back in August of 2022. And this guy comes out recently. He releases a video through his lawyers where he requests the forgiveness of the family and the mother and the sisters and the friends and to all the people who love Leandro Lowe. So you know what I say? Fuck you. No, we don't forgive you. All right. He said in the recording, he added that he spent 3 years and 3 months incarcerated awaiting trial. So what? Like that, literally nobody cares. Honestly, nobody cares. You should still be in jail. And he said he wanted, this is what really irritates me about it, to be honest with you. I'd like to clarify that on this day, I was placed at a limit that I would not like to be, where unfortunately I had to dirty my hands with blood to be able to preserve my life. Listen, I think it's a crock. I think it's also rubbing salt into the wounds, no matter how well-intentioned you think it is or how good it makes you feel. It's a completely selfish move to issue a video apology to a family that wants you behind bars when you are acquitted, and then you turn it around and say your hand was forced and unfortunately you had to do it. I just think this is corruption. I don't know every detail of the case, but from all of the news that already came out from everybody that was there, it's not the story he's telling. I don't know Leandro Lowe personally. I've met him a few times, not like we were buds and we were hanging out, but it just sounds suspect, man. And it's a terrible thing. And I'm not happy about it. I think it's ridiculous. I think that and great. One good thing I did read though, Raf, is that Leandro Lowe's mother has announced definitely 100% appealing this decision. And, she said when she posted that video after he was acquitted, she said, yesterday I drove for the second time. So that tells you where her mindset is about this, this dude. It's not good, and it shouldn't be. So I hope she appeals and I hope they overturn it, but we'll see what happens, man.
Just some advice for people just want to make sure. If you kill somebody, you don't need to explain you needed to dirty your hands. I understand this could get lost in translation, but where do you get off trying to tell us that when this dude was putting you away via jiu-jitsu, you needed to reach for a gun in self-defense. You escalated the issue. So to me, that's the part that doesn't make sense. There's obviously context and details that initially my thought on this case was going to be like, our anger here as jiu-jitsu practitioners is difficult because we're also associated to somebody who is so beloved, but I was going to try and come at it objectively. Then I saw this man actually put this statement out, and I thought, well, that definitely makes this worse. Because now you have somebody who is telling you, I had to do that to protect my own life, when they were the one that was likely not only instigating it, but were put down in the way that jiu-jitsu is supposed to do, which is to essentially incapacitate the person so they can't be a harm to others. So when that person reaches for a gun and it's called self-defense, you think to yourself, is he getting more privilege for being an officer? And if so, why is his life more valuable than that person who passed? And I think that is the unfair equation here. And I share Tim's sentiment, which is thank you, but no thank you. I would have preferred that you didn't make the sentiment, because asking for forgiveness like this is bypassing a ton of big holes and perhaps a system that did not quite get it right. And I would have been willing to concede that maybe it didn't get it right if he hadn't made that statement. I think we would still be in our feels, obviously because of how attached we are to Leandro Lo. But I can tell you one thing, it makes that objectivity a lot harder to have when you see something like that put out and you go, listen, dude, I may not know everything about this, but I can tell you that's a terribly worded statement. And I wish the best to Leandro Lo's family. We continue our sentiments of extreme sympathy, and it's a terrible situation that is not made better by whatever nonsensical statement that dude made. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Especially going from that kind of story to this, an upper. Hey, everybody, Ashton Kutcher was awarded his black belt. Now, listen, before you get in the comments and you tell us whatever you feel about celebrities training, I can tell you this. Ashton Kutcher has been pretty positive about our sport. He seems to have enjoyed his time. And I think it's kind of dope to see a celebrity that had a base in wrestling, that is, of course, known for their acting and is incredibly recognized for their work, actually achieve something that kind of feels a little bit more in the timetable of even how maybe a celebrity should be promoted. So, Tim, what are your thoughts on Ashton Kutcher getting his black belt today?
So, I mean, dude, bro, good job. Like, honestly, it's really tricky when you're a celebrity and you train jiu-jitsu. It's super freaking hard. Not many people take the Tom Hardy route where it appears that he just goes in gen pop and just trains and then does tournaments and does stuff. We saw Zuckerberg recently do this. He competed under an alias. A guy like Kutcher, I remember when he got his purple belt. I remember when he got his brown belt. I remember when there was a controversy because they were like taking a photo or something and someone just gave him a belt to wear that wasn't his belt and it was tied weird. And people were like, people got pretty upset. But I think this guy's been training for a minute, and people got to understand jiu-jitsu general, kind of group is mostly a bunch of meatheads. Ashton Kutcher is an actor and he's an entertainer and he makes his living that way. Maybe he's not trying to go in and mix it up with meatheads all the time. So he trains a little more small group, a little privately. Who knows? I don't know, but maybe people threaten him. Maybe he's got stalkers who he doesn't know if they're in the jiu-jitsu class. They're going to try to rip his arm off with the kimura. I have no clue. However, I do know that he has been at it for a minute. Rigan Machado is legit. And it's easy to judge these guys and go like, they just bought their black belt. But there's only one guy buying black belts right now. We know who that is. And I also know this. Kuchar ain't paying $3 million for a black belt. He's smarter with his money than that. He's not going to pony up $3 million. So congrats to him. I want to see some celebrity black belt jiu-jitsu matches now. I think there's enough of them. I'd be willing to watch one or two on a card.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. And congratulations to Ashton, the anti-Moneyberg, for actually getting it done. So this is my favorite part. The BJJ Eastern Europe article reads as follows, because it doesn't take long for us to be on the same page, but this is a pretty funny way of putting something in print. Let's just be honest. A celebrity who actually trains, unlike many celebrities who practice martial arts casually or for movie roles, Kuchar has been a legitimate student of jiu-jitsu. It's like, bro, how do we know that? We don't. But I take him at his word. He's been an enthusiast for it. Let's just be happy that somebody did it right way as a celebrity. So, we don't have to be like, actually, Tim, as a podcaster who actually trains. So there is that. Let's move down the line here.
Yeah, I feel you.
This is in the Department of Dumbest Things said this week. It does look like Khabib had some thoughts about Michael Jordan. At a Q&A, he was asked his thoughts about Michael Jordan and the documentary The Last Dance. And wouldn't you know it, Khabib took that line of questioning and said, Chicago Bulls, they have different rules, but in Dagestan, basketball, there are no rules. You can wrestle, you can choke people. So imagine you're sitting there and you're in the audience and you say, Khabib, you're a dominant athlete in your sport. What can you tell me about another dominant athlete in their sport? And what did you think about their documentary? And Khabib's answer is to then follow that statement up by saying, Michael Jordan, I think I could take him down. In Dagestan basketball, you can do whatever you want. Now, Khabib, listen. What the fuck are we doing here? These people are just asking, did you see The Last Dance? Did you enjoy that? What do you think of Michael Jordan? And your thought is, I'm pretty sure I can take him down. Okay, cool. So we're just picking things out at random. Khabib, I bet you can't beat Michael Phelps at swimming. Oh, wait, in Dagestan, we wrestle when we swim. No, that's not the question. We're just saying, like, hey, what do you think of this person? It is so absurd the way that we have these people asked questions and they can't give you a straight answer on just, hey, what do you think of Michael Jordan? I think he's great. Dominant dude. I think I could take him down. Khabib, I have more concern if you couldn't take Michael Jordan down. And more importantly, Michael Jordan grew up in an era where you couldn't be a pushover. There were very athletic and tough guys. That's not to say that you're not and that they were actually trying to do MMA with him. But I'll tell you this, that competitive drive of Michael Jordan, you mean to tell me the dude who couldn't lose to gambling to the people who were poor? You think that dude's going to be a pushover? That dude's going to learn the best wrestling you've ever seen, as shit as it might be. But he will be so competitive in that era. Let's put it this way, Khabib. How about you go golf with Michael Jordan? I'd like to see that. Maybe you could beat him at that. But I don't see you volunteering your way to do that. Strange. No, because in Dagestan, you can wrestle when you golf. No, you can't. Just literally answer the question, sir. That's all I had to say. That's a really stupid and dumb prompt that I saw. And I guess it almost begs the question. Don't ask athletes in the world of MMA abstract questions. They're not smart enough to be able to give you a coherent answer. If you ask me my thoughts about Michael Jordan and my first answer is, I think I could take him down. Why am I trying to take down a 60-year-old dude right now? Get out of here.
You're not going to believe this, Raf, but I am actually a Dagestani jazz musician. When you play jazz in Dagestan, you're allowed to incorporate strikes, heel hooks, leg locks. So I I'm a Dagestani jazz musician. I only play in America, though. But
Hold on. You know
I
what?
could take.
Hold on. Khabib, I got one more for you, Tim. I got to steal the spotlight back. We're short on time, so I got to make sure I do this one. Hey, Khabib, could you ever beat the Monstars in Space Jam? No, you couldn't. You know why? Michael Jordan saved this world. Khabib couldn't do that shit. He wouldn't know what to do with the Monstars. So, Khabib, until you come at me with Space Jam, which all the way is an actual overrated movie, but that's not important right now. If you could beat the Monstars, then we can talk. But for right now, I don't think you can do it. You couldn't even beat Bugs Bunny. You can't even beat Australian Bugs Bunny, which is Craig Jones. So I guess what I'm saying here is, Khabib, come at me when you can make a Space Jam with the best soundtrack of the 90s, arguably. Shut up. Done. Let's move on. I believe I can.
Agreed.
Fly. He even has a he has a song called Fly Like an Eagle. You don't even have that. You're the eagle. You don't even have a song. Get out of here. Spy Game. Tim, what can you tell us about a dude who blew his cover and did so by a love of judo?
I guess so. So there's a dude, his cover name was Sergey Konovalov, and he showed up in 2018 posing as a Russian man in an Austrian village, and he was there to do go to a water treatment seminar. That was his ruse. Actually, he was Russia's GRU military intelligence, which is kind of scary. But this guy loved judo so much. Whenever he would travel to Austria, he couldn't resist the drop-in. The drop-in got him. And he would go drop in and train at clubs, and then he started doing some local tournaments. Well, the problem is this guy's a savage, and he's super, super good. He claimed several gold medals in competitions in Vienna, eventually made it to the World Judo Championship in Marrakech, where he took first place in the veterans category. And I guess with first place in a big tournament, it's hard to keep your cover story low. And the guy that outed him said, bad idea to win a championship if you're a spy with a fake identity. And it got me thinking, a lot of people have done a lot of dumb things to go to training. I've had guys come into class and go, oh, I told my wife I was going to go to the store. I just want to get a few rounds in, that I'm going to get like some milk and bread and then go home. I've had guys basically lose their relationship because they couldn't handle the jiu-jitsu lifestyle appropriately. Now we have a guy who literally doxed himself because he could not stay off of the mats. This mat rat lifestyle is not for everybody, and apparently if you are a top secret spy, it might not be for you.
It's like James Bond entering a novice tournament and being like, what? How'd you guys know it was me? It's like, brother, you karate kicked and basically knocked out this dude. I think you're James Bond, are you? So there is that.
Is this the guy that scored 129 points in the tournament? Maybe this is him. Maybe he's the spy. Maybe there's another one.
Well, Tim, we got one more thing to get through before we got to get you out of here. And I'd like to turn our attention to this week's low light of the week. So,
yes, sir.
What can you tell us about the fight we're about to see? And maybe how familiar people may or may not be with this fight.
Are we going with the weekend one that took place?
The fight of the weekend. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So, if you don't know who this guy is, then you're about to find out. Dylan Dennis is one of the guys who has been a decent grappler at one point in his career. He was an upcoming brown belt. I believe he was on the Kumite series that Lloyd Irvin had put out. We used to see him compete quite a bit. And then he met one Conor McGregor and quickly lost his mind and has adopted the swag and the persona and the accoutrements of one Conor McGregor without the knockout power success, the winning record, or the bank account. And this weekend, he was at Madison Square Garden, UFC, I believe it was 322, and caused a ruckus in the crowd. And it sounds like Dennis didn't know he was seated in the Dagestani spectating section of the arena, which when you sit there, you're allowed to fight. And he kept trying to encroach into it. And then a real big fight broke out. There's a couple angles of this one. It was a melee, man. It was a melee.
All right, Tim, I'm going to have you walk us through it. So if you would be so kind, I would love for you to actually take us through your interpretation of this fight, and then we will have you get on out of here. But for right now, what can you tell us about what we're about to see in 3, 2, 1? And this is, hold on, let me zoom it all the way out. Bam. All right, let's start it from the beginning. Tell us about this fight here, Tim.
So here we go. It's kicking off, and this is basically reminds me of when the front door opens on the Black Friday sale, man, and everybody just starts slamming in, and you could see the action's getting hot. Now there's a gentleman who pops in with a chair and he holds it, and then the security guy just goes, "Nah, you're not hitting anyone with that," and he just rips it out of his hand. He thought the chair was for sale. Somewhere under this pile of dudes, there is a 57-inch Vizio flat panel TV for $45. There's only one. The Dagestanis are trying to get to it because they have 9 guys in a room and they need a new TV replacement. And, you could see it's just kind of like general chaos. There's lots of fighting. There's lots of guys with interesting hats, lots of guys in suits. This is probably the first time the Las Vegas Suit Patrol or the Athletic Commission, I know we're in New York, actually had to get their hands dirty. And you could tell they're not super comfortable. Good at talking in the earpiece, not that great when it comes to putting their hands on somebody. There's a lot of lulls, and then it kicks back in again, and guys kind of flip out. I'm trying to catch up to where you're at in the crowd here. Okay, yeah, there's white suit guy. They're kind of getting it under control. A little bit of hugging going on. As you can see, these people are just like kind of randomly fighting each other. We see Shoeface right there. He just gives a quick little look at the camera and then moves on. That's not my nickname for him. That's his nickname. Don't get mad at me, people. And here's the overhead view, and we can see this pops off pretty hardcore. It looks like Dan is getting stomped out right out of the gate. This is like when you come in number 20 to the Royal Rumble, and there's like 19 guys in the ring still, and they just basically stomp you out and throw you over the top rope. That's pretty much what happened here. It's mostly a slew of Dagestani guys putting the boots to, I think it's just Dylan Dennis, honestly, because if you read the story, Dennis just went up there on his own. His crew kind of hung back, and he was trying to horn his way in to the next seating section. And they were like, "Nah, dog." And then he was kind of making a thing about it. And I think the B-boy said something to him. And, you can't talk shit about the seats because we're crap if you do.
All right. Well, Tim, I thank you for that. I'm going to let you get on out of here, sir. I'm going to take a stab at doing this, and I'll shoot you the highlights of it a little bit later. But tell the people where they can find you, good sir.
You can find me at Side BJJ. I got some new stuff coming up, and I see it all the time, but it's going to happen around the new year. If you're out in Nashville, come see me at 10th Planet Nashville. And if you're out in Stockton, go see my school out there, 10th Planet Stockton. Raf, it's good to catch up with you on a Wednesday. I know you're going to crush Subversive. Make sure you check that out. It's the next best thing coming up this weekend. Get your eyes on it. Good luck, buddy. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Freeman, your friend and mine. Get on out of here. All right. Before I do this next fight, let me see here. You uneducated swine. What the fuck is a monstrar? Dude, monstrars are from Space Jam, a movie in which Michael Jordan starred. Did they not educate you properly? It's a beloved film here in America. Almost too much, honestly. But a monstrar, they're these monsters. Michael Jordan had to face them in order to beat them to save our world. Jesus. It's like I have to do everything here. Let me go ahead and take a stab at this fight because it was very popular this week with a lot of you guys. I saw 12 different angles here, and I'll see what I can tell you from my perspective. Going in 3, 2, 1. Okay, first of all, let's get your comment off the screen, and let's try this all the way from the top. All right, first things first. When I'm looking at this fight, and I'm looking at the way that we start off, I'm already concerned. Yes, there's a punch thrown here, and you do see some windups. You see some beard action, a little calm before the storm. And what I love is we have learned far too much about a gentleman by the name of John Pork than I ever wanted to learn. But here we go. The kickoff happens. What I want to say is, look, if you're going to get into a fight, you always hand your hat to one of your dearest friends. Look at this. You know you're in there. You're like, hey, bud, I'm going to get into a fight. Can you make sure that you hold on to this hat for me? Thank you. And 3, 2, 1, and fight. That's a responsible thing to do. So I will give some credit where credit is due. The chair. Now, there's a belief when you go to like a WWE event, you can get a commemorative chair. So if he paid for that, that technically is his chair. And I feel like you should be able to do what you want. So I think it's kind of rude to take it away from him. That man may have paid for that chair. That may be a commemorative chair. And what better way to commemorate a chair than hitting somebody in the head with it? We press on. I like the idea that the minute he took away the chair from the man with that hat, there's just a little bit of a, wow, I really wanted to hit that dude with my chair. Womp womp. There's some breaking it up. And what I love about this dude is you got a guy who looks like he might as well be part of the WWE security because they're not breaking up shit. So from here, Herb Dean's cousin, not doing a great job of breaking things up entirely, but he is trying to form a barricade that it's pretty easy to get through, grabs him by the waist, but he's doing the best he can to go ahead and hold things off. Now, here's where things get a little confusing to me. Dana White was saying that this was the Dagestani crew, all essentially versus Dylan Dennis. Now, where I get confused is, sure, we don't like Dylan Dennis. He's kind of a general goofball. We're all pro it. But if it was somebody else, how would we feel about this fight? A whole section getting into a fight. They're not getting banned, perhaps for political reasons. But because it's Dylan Dennis, we're kind of like, sure. Why not? It was very silly. Let's play the rest of this out very quickly. So let's forward it back to where we left off. So over here, that was not Shoeface. That was actually Raul Rosas, who has a rather unflattering angle, but is what it is. I do like this gentleman over here who's trying to increase the pace by spreading out his arms as if to say, hey, if you didn't get in on the fight early, you missed your chance. And then all of a sudden, this is my favorite. The dude who's hugging is definitely trying to plead his case. Like, please let me bang, bro. Come on, let me bang, bro. I will tell you this. It is not a brawl until there's pointing. Like when somebody holds you, yeah, they hold you away. The hat's there. But you're not truly at a brawl until you point at somebody. Let it be known that when you get into any kind of altercation, if you don't have one of these moments, don't at me, bro. Like, don't at me in the comments to watch your fight. I need to see at least 1 or 2 of those moments before I even consider putting it as a fight of the week. Let's press through on this last part of this fight. So he does this, Adam points, and then guess what? He's going to try to rev up and get right back in the action. Raul Rosas can't get enough. I think here in a second, you also see Gucci Smoothie himself from SpeedX that's filming. I do want to point this out here. I don't know if this is from Tim, but Tim is basically telling us NHL boost alert. So if this is coming from Tim, we have some questions about his ads popping in. Why is he playing NHL Boost Alert? I don't know, bro. I'm going to have to talk to Tim, or at least whoever he stole this footage from. Lots more fighting. You see the top angle here. Oh, that's a nice kick, though. And I guess the real thing is Dana White said, don't worry, we're going to go ahead and ban Dylan Dennis from the rest of the events. Now, if you know anything about the UFC, that probably doesn't mean much. They'll probably be back here in 2 weeks. But I love the fact that Dylan Dennis got banned from the UFC in, I would like to say record time, but in the amount of time it takes for somebody to realize, like, oh, I hate this dude. How is he still getting seats? And as LOL Snapped put it, why in the hell would they put the Dagestans next to this guy? It's a great question. They're not very good at picking out their VIP section. I think Dana was trying to allude to the fact that Dennis had a ticket that was purchased, so it might have been out of their purview. Having said that, yeah, big logistical fail. And I think Dana was trying to say it might have been his fault. An article I read said that Dana White copped to it being his fault, but I never heard him officially take any kind of responsibility for that. All right, friends. That essentially is going to do it for us. I see a note here. God, I wish it was Friday. It's Thursday morning here. Very sorry for that, sir. Because Egg was asking if it's Friday already. Well, part of the reason why we're doing this on a Wednesday as opposed to a Friday is Friday I will be busy producing Subversive. That is out in Long Beach, California. Very excited for that. If you get the opportunity to check it out, be there live with us. Limited tickets still available over at subversivebjj.com. That is Subversive with just SUBSER. Wait, SC. Oh, sorry. This is how low sleep I'm on right now. SUBVERSIVBJJ.com. There we go. It works sometimes. It's just that I was like, wait, don't say that one letter. That's the one you got to not say. We just take off the E. So check that out. That's happening 6 p.m. over in Long Beach, California at the Ovation Center. You can check that out also at spectationsports.com. If you can't join us live, join the pay-per-view. Would love that. Also, we're going to have Wild Style Our Kids program happening on Saturday. And my channel is, of course, Grappling Hour. If you want to go ahead and give us a follow, a like, a subscribe. I'm just saying, give us some love. We do a lot of work here for you guys. Makes a big thing for us. If I was that guy, I would see the hell out of the UFC. I think you say the sue the hell out of the UFC. For sure. There's definitely money to be made there. I'm just thinking, if you're just a rich dude that paid for those seats, what kind of shit are you into, dude? Yikes. Does not look like it would be a fun time at the office on that one. Check us out. GrapplingHour.com. Grappling Hour on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the major social media categories. Just check us out. Give us some love. And then what else do I got for you guys? I got interviews coming up all week long. So be on the lookout for those. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for us. I'm going to start packing up now because I got to get down to Long Beach to produce a press conference that's happening tomorrow. And I will see you guys on the flip side. I hope to see you this weekend. Much love to you guys. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.